holding in feedback or just enduring something that feels uncomfortable or not saying you want it to be over, but doing things to make it to go faster and faking orgasms. I've done it all. My name is Hannah, and I'm a sex educator, also known as the Libido Fairy, and I've helped over 500 women in relationships to feel more confident and alive and joyful in sex and feel excited for intimacy again. And I've also gone from having no desire for sex and that ruining my relationship in 2020 to now being in the most loving and committed long-term relationship where I'm having the best sex ever and feel so confident with my partner. And today, we're going to talk about why you should absolutely never do the things that I did and how to actually give feedback about sex without hurting your partner's feelings, causing conflict, or damaging their fragile ego. I'm going to share some of the most common mistakes that people make in giving feedback. I'm going to give 5 tips for better communication, and then I'm going to share my ultimate communication hack. Let's get into it. So I remember very early in my relationship when giving feedback about sex felt so hard. It felt so crunchy. Like I wanted to share things with my partner, but I was so concerned about hurting his feelings or making him feel like he wasn't enough for me. And every time I thought about bringing it up, I would just crawl into my little shell and hesitate and wonder how he'd take it. Would he get defensive? Would he feel rejected? So I stayed quiet for so long, thinking that it was easier to just avoid the conversation completely. But here's the thing. Avoiding the conversation didn't make the issue go away. When you avoid something, you end up feeling more fear about that thing, and it almost always leads to resentment and less connection and more disconnection over time. This is why giving feedback, even when it feels awkward or difficult, is essential for improving intimacy. And more vulnerability only happens when we do things that are hard, especially vulnerable conversations that lead to deeper intimacy and better sex. It's a win-win. So when we learn how to share our needs with compassion and curiosity, we create a space where both you and your partner can thrive. Honest communication is a key to unlocking the kind of connection where sex isn't just something you have to get through, but it's something that both you and your partner can look forward to and enjoy. So I'm about to share the 4 most common mistakes that people make when they give feedback to their partners about sex. But if you're enjoying the video so far, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content on sex and intimacy. So here we go. The 4 most common mistakes that people make when giving feedback to their partners about sex. If you get triggered about this, it's going to be fine. Number 1, waiting until frustration builds and expressing feedback in a critical or emotional way. And I'm going to tell you what that sounds like. You never listen to me when we're in bed. It's like you don't even care about what I want. This has been going on for so long. A better way to say that could be, hey, I've noticed that I've been feeling a bit disconnected during sex lately, and I think it's because I haven't been as open about what I need. Could we talk about the ways we can both feel more connected during sex? Number 2 mistake, using language that feels like a blame or an attack. This might sound like, you never, or you're bad at, you never initiate with me, and you always rush into things too fast. Why can't you just take your time with me? A better way to communicate would be, I really enjoy it when we take our time with foreplay. It helps me get into the moment and feel more connected. Can we focus on that a little bit more next time? Number 3 mistake is giving feedback during or immediately after sex when both you and your partner are like flushed and emotions are high. So that could sound like right after sex saying something like, that wasn't the best, or I didn't finish. A better way to say that would be at a neutral time in a neutral space. So I wanted to check in about something from the other night. I think we could try something a little bit different next time that might make us more enjoyable for both of us. What do you think? Number 4 mistake, and I used to be so guilty of this one, using sarcasm, humor, or passive-aggressive comments. So what that could look like would be, wow, that was quick. Guess I'm just so irresistible, right? Better communication would be, I love that we're intimate, and I think we could explore ways to make our experiences even longer. I really enjoy spending time connecting during sex. How do you feel about that? These examples focus on being clear and kind and constructive while avoiding blame and sarcasm and criticism. They also ensure that communication happens in a calm and neutral environment where both you and your partner can actually hear each other and improve things together. When it comes to giving feedback about sex, the goal is to put you on the same side of the table instead of feeling like you're combative or it's me versus you. So here are 5 ways that you can frame those conversations with compassion and openness and get on the same side of the table as your partner. Number 1 is all about timing. Don't bring up feedback right in the heat of the moment or right after sex. Choose a neutral time outside of the bedroom when you are both relaxed and open to having a conversation. I love talking to my partner on walks about sex or dinner together. So the key is to create a space where you both feel neutral, relaxed, not likely to get defensive. Number 2, start with positives. Everybody loves a compliment, and it actually feels really good to acknowledge what you love about your sexual connection. So compliment your partner, something like, I love how you touch me when we're being intimate, and I really enjoy the way that you make me feel when we're close. This helps your partner feel appreciated and opens them up to actually hearing your feedback. Number 3, keep the conversation focused on me, on I, using I statements. So instead of framing the feedback as what your partner is doing wrong, focus on your experience and the things that you need and the things that you want to feel. So something like, I would love if we could try ... or I feel really connected when we ... instead of you need to do this or you need to do that or you're not doing enough. So shifting the conversation to I statements keeps the feedback from feeling like blame and helps your partner understand your perspective without feeling attacked. Number 4, be specific and collaborative. So it's really important to be as specific as possible when you're giving feedback about sex. So for example, instead of saying something like, oh, I wish we would spend more time in foreplay, you could say something like, I would love for you to spend 10 minutes massaging my body and then another 3 minutes massaging my breasts and kissing my body. That kind of specificity turns the conversation into something that is collaborative and open, where you and your partner can actually make progress because there is clarity about what to do. If you have no idea what you can ask for in sex or what you want, I have a free resource called the Likes and Limits Checklist that has over 500 playtime options on it, and you can find it linked in the description box below. Okay, the next tip is to reassure your partner. It's so important to reassure them that your feedback is about enhancing the connection, not criticizing or judging them. So let them know that you're invested in the relationship and want to make things better. So that could sound like, I really love being with you and I just want to keep growing together. Or I'm bringing this up because I care about our relationship and I want us to have the best experience possible. By framing the feedback with compassion and focusing on a future vision for your relationship, you create a conversation that deepens intimacy instead of creating distance. Remember, it's not about what your partner is doing wrong. It's about finding new ways to make your sexual connection feel even more fulfilling for both of you and putting you on the same side of the table. Now, I promised at the beginning of this that I was going to share my number 1 ultimate relationship communication hack, and I am not gatekeeping. Here it is. The weekly relationship check-in. It can be so hard to find a time to bring up these conversations, and if you're always waiting for the right time, you're probably never going to find it. So like I mentioned at the beginning, I used to be the queen of avoidance, and so I knew that in order for me to actually have a time to bring up these kinds of vulnerable things, I needed a structure in place or a consistent place to do that. So that's why now my partner and I connect every single Sunday for like 30 minutes or so to talk about what's going well in our relationship and what could go better, including intimacy. I've also listed out our check-in questions in the description box below if you want to check them out and use them in your relationship. So at this point, you might also need support in figuring out exactly what to ask for in bed to make it better, or maybe you don't know what you want. If that's the case, check out my video, Hack to Know What You Want in Bed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.